Hey, good morning. This is Lani G from the Black Girl Brand Studio. And this morning we have an amazing guest. Her name is Lynn Kerchoff. She's the author of the book The Shack. Many of you should have heard about this amazing book and this amazing woman's story by now. And so we are very excited to be chatting to Lynn Kerchoff this morning. Lynn, welcome.
Thank you so much for the invitation.
What I would like to know from you, Lynn, is what do you do? What is your full-time occupation, or what have you been doing?
So I've been in education for the past about 16 years actually. And that was intentional. If you read my story, I told the teacher first. And I felt that I wanted to give back to the community in that sense because a lot of times the kids they can't talk to their parents and they can't talk to their siblings. And we see that at schools we get so many troubled kids coming in and so many kids with anxiety and depression. And I'm grateful that I'm able to sometimes meet those kids and sort of just try to encourage them to just to share their story.
Yeah. Okay. One of the questions that I personally actually have for you is lots of people know about the abuse and they look away.
Yeah.
Why is that?
I think, I can just surmise that it causes family humiliation, really. And I can only speak from my culture as being a colored, but I've noted in the headlines now, we've got the Bishop School that's also out about the teacher and all that. And so initially I thought it was just my culture, but I think it's across the board. Families don't want upset. They don't want their lives being sort of opened up to the public. So with my story, certainly I think it was that, and it was the humiliation and the embarrassment that all went with that. So it's easier to sweep it under the rug and hope that it goes away. But it just makes everything worse because it just festers from there onwards. Um,
I'm
you know,
aware that you actually had lots, well, not lots, you had some backlash from going public with your story.
yeah, yeah.
That's something you can talk about?
Yes, no, I can. There was one or two family members that
Wow.
it's part of it. Not my immediate family, extended
Mm.
family that sort of know my parents and how can I say these things. But when I say that my parents didn't protect me, that's one part of the story. You actually have to read the book to see that we have reconciled and they have asked for forgiveness and we've come together.
Okay.
And it's people that don't know the full story. And then there were some emails I got from people I don't even know, about how I look and how victims are supposed to look. And I got really upset because
What does that mean?
I know exactly, right? Exactly. What does that mean? So, like I said, am I supposed to be looking dreary and teary all the time? Because then, that's
Oh
just,
my gosh. You know what I love, love, love about you and your story? It's the fact that you telling it from a place of victory. And you
yeah,
are telling people you can go through hell and come back looking like you.
yeah, like
You know,
it's
it
not,
doesn't have to sit on you as a person. And the main thing is, Lynn, I think what I love about your story, it's a story of hope.
yeah,
you
yeah,
know and so many, I mean, I've been looking at statistics. There's 3.69 billion women in the world. One in three of those will suffer physical or sexual violence. The
sure,
numbers are staggering. So um, you know what, maybe this is the wrong thing to say, but let me just say it. I'm sure that some of that, the backlash from other women.
there was one or two here because there
um,
is a minority that think that you shouldn't have said and you're embarrassing your parents and you're opening because my book is just full of secrets that I expose. But you know what? At the end of the day, I had to tell my story for others out there that's suffering the same. And I mean, it's taken me years, man, years
yeah,
to actually.
yeah. How long did it take you to, number one, write the book, and number two, to decide to publish the book? And
Yeah.
number three, if you can just answer all in one, how many publishing companies turned you down before you got a yes?
Oh my gosh. So it took me 2 full days to write the book. It, 2 days.
Today.
2 days. Yeah, I didn't sleep. Or I sat and I wrote. But
That is
once,
a woman inspired.
oh, yeah, no, 2 full days. And once that was done, I left it because I wasn't ready to go into any of the editing. And
Yeah.
then one, after 7 years, I decided, okay, I'm ready to do this. And then it was lockdown, and I told my family for the first time. And then from there, the editing pretty much started, which is just hard in its own because your editor will ask you all these questions, and so you have to go back into that 11-year-old girl and into that childhood. And that took a
You
while.
feel the brokenness of that little girl
Yeah,
during
no,
this process.
no, definitely, Lonnie. You definitely feel all those feelings come back, and huge trigger moments, and the things that I hadn't dealt with that I then had to deal with. So we did it with a therapist again. I went to a therapist.
Wow.
I'm not going to be naive and think, you can do this on your own because it's hard things.
It
Um,
is.
yeah,
Sure.
we went to the therapist again, and then yeah, I released the book on the 13th of November.
It's
Uh,
like Friday the 13th, lucky
yeah,
Friday the 13th.
I turned that whole thing around.
Absolutely.
In
And how
terms
many publishing companies did you approach before you got a yes?
quite a few. I didn't get a yes. That's the thing. That's what I wanted to chat to you about. I didn't get a yes. They all, it's a long process. So some of them turned me down. Others you had to fill out. I didn't quite understand everything. And at that point, I felt that maybe I should just own the story in publication as well. So I'm self-published.
That
Um,
is
yeah. So
fantastic.
I
Congratulations.
thank you
Wow.
so much. So I did it from end to end, all the printing, all the publications. It was hard work. It's not for the faint-hearted. I felt
No,
hard.
you've got all of my respect for what you've done because
Thank you.
I've been told several times, write a book, write a book, write a book. I'm like, I don't think so. I don't think so. I don't think so. Because the amount of discipline, the
Yeah,
hours you're going to spend, writing the book was quick for you, but the editing
yeah,
and,
yeah.
all
No,
the strange work that goes into it.
I agree with you. That took hours. The editing took hours, and I was at a point where I was like tired of editing because it's like the same part in the story, and that was very tiring. I won't lie to you. That took a lot. That was, yeah, that's a level of tiredness you just can't explain.
Having said that, there are women and men, of course, that will be watching this and
Yeah.
they know that they've got to tell their story. We know it is hard work, but encourage them to do it nonetheless.
No, they should tell their story. I just, you don't know who you're going to impact and you don't know who you're going to help. And I believe that we're not meant to live life on our own. We're not.
Yeah.
We have so many people around us, but people are silent sufferers. So, I mean, within your circle and within my circle, there are people that's suffering that we don't even know about. And sometimes going public
Yeah.
with your story, even just within your circle, maybe doesn't have to be a book or it doesn't have to be an interview. Just within your circle, you could be saving someone's life, never mind even changing lives. You could be saving lives. And so, I believe that our stories, it sounds cliche, but I believe that our stories does heal. Our
Yeah.
stories heal each other, and that's what we need as a community, as a nation. We're so quick to sharing all the bad
One
things.
thing
I
I'd
mean,
also like to know is what are some of the major obstacles that you dealt with or had to overcome when writing your book, writing your story?
I think for me, the biggest one was my parents. So my parents play a huge part, obviously, in the book, but just in the writing, I was so scared that I'm going to hurt them, and I was scared that I'm going to hurt them to the degree that they wouldn't want to know me anymore. Um,
Oh, wow.
in, yeah, in constant communication with them. My mom's got dementia, and my father, he doesn't remember all that well, but they're
Okay.
old age, they're both over 70. So I've been telling them about the book all the time. But the
Mm.
week before the launch, actually, I went to them and I said, look, so the book is going to be out from tomorrow. Is there anything else? And we shared such a moment that was closure for me, and I think closure for them. So my parents haven't read my book yet because we had thought as siblings that it is too heavy for them to read.
Okay.
It would be rehashing so many things for them, and in their old frail age, We just weren't sure that that would be necessary for them. But they start off as really, I describe them as not very caring parents in the beginning of the book, and I describe the neglect and the lack of love that I felt. But towards the middle and the end of the book, I change because I understand more, and I understand how hard they grew up, and nobody taught them to parent. We weren't taught to parent. But at that stage, as a young girl, all I saw was negativity from my parents. But I'm so pleased that, I've grown to love them, and we've spoken so much about the book. And so at the end of the book, I speak about them as my heroes, as people that actually, they persevered. They're still married today, and they raised all of us. And, we I
How
think
many siblings are you?
we're four girls.
Oh, wow.
Oh,
Were
no.
you the only one of the four girls that experienced the trauma that you did?
That's quite an interesting question. I've been asked that before. I wouldn't know. My siblings and I haven't, they certainly haven't shared if they did, but I do hope that I'm the only one. I'd hate for my siblings to have gone through that.
Just listening to your story and reading, listening to one or two of the interviews. I didn't want to listen to too many of the interviews because I didn't want this one to be clouded.
Okay, understood.
I was remembering my own sexual assault,
Yeah.
and one thing that people don't realize is that kids have a memory. My earliest memory as a child with a conversation with an adult is from 3 years old.
Sure.
3 years old. I can clearly remember everything, what I was wearing, where I was, everything. I can remember every detail. But that little girl doesn't stay a little girl. She grows up to be an adult.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
you've got to face your music if that person
Yeah.
starts talking. But
No,
I was about 5, I think, the first time, and then I think 7. It was periodic,
sure.
and um, I think my mom was so traumatized the second time. I
Yeah.
don't think I told about the first time. The second, she was so traumatized. When it happened the third time, I didn't say anything
Oh my
because
God.
she was so traumatized by it, and um, I decided, let me just hold on to this pain myself instead of spreading it through the family. You
And
know,
how old were you then?
I was about
Sure.
7 years old. Fortunately, I mean, police were called, the guy was arrested,
Yeah.
all of that, and which was traumatic on its own. And I'm just thinking,
Totally.
back now, I mean, how traumatic it was for my parents, but I was a child. I shouldn't have to have carried the burden of
Yeah.
of it. And one thing that lots of parents that's going to watch this should know is it will happen in your home. It will
Yes.
happen with people that knows you, like people that sit around your table and eat your food.
Yeah. No, I speak about that. I speak about the inner circle. Oftentimes we think it's, the people out on the street. It's not. It's in
Yes.
our friendship circles. It's in our family circles. And I said, I want you to, after you hear my story and read my book, I want parents to become suspicious. I want you to,
Absolutely.
who do you allow into your house?
Yeah.
I mean, for me, it was a family member, and people think it's far fetched, but it's not. They're in your house and they know when to do what they want to do. As parents, you have to be vigilant. You have to be overprotective. You can't leave your child alone. You can't just easily trust, because I think that's what we do. We just easily trust, and that's what kids do. Kids just trust and they go along, and it's just, yeah.
But where did we go wrong?
I don't know where we went wrong, but I know that it's wrong. The judicial system, it doesn't work. The police force, it doesn't work. There is too little social workers. There's too little care villages, too little NGOs. Everybody that should be helping, they're overtired and they're understaffed. They really are. I don't know. And I don't know what's going to happen. And that's why I said, if we all help in our own communities, in
Yeah.
our homes, in our area of influence, then change will happen. But that's
Yeah.
not happening. People are
Yes.
still hiding the truth. You still get police officers that are not taking sexual assault seriously. I mean, I've read of horror stories where young girls went to open a case and the police wouldn't do that. Wives that went to open a case against their husband and the police is saying, maybe find out, are you sure? Maybe you'll feel differently tomorrow. So there's a whole education that needs to happen. But I certainly, you know what I feel is that they need to put out a call to survivors and overcomers to sit on a panel and work through these things. I mean, with me, just a typical example, when I did the court case, everybody, all the people were men. The judge, his lawyer, my lawyer, they were all men, and here you have an 11-year-old girl. Do you know what I mean? That's just my story. So I think like it's just there's so much that needs to happen. I don't think it's hopeless though. I believe that we can change, and I believe that we can make a difference, but it feels like it's taking so long.
You know, Lynn, just looking at the overwhelming response that your book has caused, I
Yeah.
almost feel as though this is a stake in the ground.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I feel as though it's something is going to give going forward because like there's so many people that is talking about gender-based violence. Everyone's in their little corner trying to do their little thing, but the overwhelming response that you have received and the amount of interviews that you've had to do in such a short space of time, it's speaking volumes. And I think people do want an outlet to speak about it.
Yeah.
Um, what are the major resources that you think that people that is available to victims and survivors of gender-based violence? I mean, what do I do if I know of a kid that's being sexually abused in her home?
Yeah, I think, I'd go to the organizations like Tears and Rape Crisis. They say, I mean, I went through Rape Crisis stores
Okay.
already. And they were one organization that held me. They really did, end to end, and I eventually went to counseling there. But I think that that should happen, that, we should, you're supposed to go to your nearest police station, and then they will assist and call social workers. But I've heard that sometimes that doesn't work. I
Yeah.
mean, you'd have to, see in your circle who can assist you. Some people go to religious organizations, maybe at their churches or mosques, and then there are independent people on Facebook. But there's certainly lots of organizations.
Yeah. One thing I want to ask about your book is what does the book cost and where can we purchase your book?
So the book cost 180 Rand, and you can go online and purchase. So it's www.myshack.co.za. Or for people, not everybody likes the PayPal and PayFast and all that. They're welcome to just drop me an email at
Okay.
info@myshack.co.za, and I can assist them via email then. But I've had some good news. There's a bookshop that's interested in having my books. I can't say too much, but I'm hoping. I know the first bookshops. I'm hoping to announce that next week sometime. So I'm just
Yes,
tying up the
please
contract.
keep us posted. That's amazing. Yeah, and I think it's about time. It's due. You know, you've done all of the hard work and now they got to take it up. And is your book resonating internationally as well?
Yeah, no, I've had quite a few orders from the States and Switzerland, New Zealand. So I mean, it
Wonderful.
has
Wow.
been great like that. But you know what I said? That the book is just one part of my journey. That's my story. I don't want to stop there. And that's why I've put out my contact details, because I want to be accessible. I want victims to be able to say, Lynn, how did you feel at this stage? Lynn, I can't anymore. I want to be the change. I want to do that. So please share my email address. I'm here for
I'll put
whoever.
it in the link as well. I'm sure you can be overwhelmed, and you probably have been overwhelmed by women's stories to date.
There's been a lot. I've been contacted via Instagram and Facebook and email, but this is my journey. This is what I want to do, and I believe that I will find the time to do this. I'm not concerned about it. I'm not anxious about it.
Like,
This
wow.
is what I'm meant to do. So I think this is my destiny, and my destiny will make room for me. So yeah.
And how does your husband feel about the book and your tell all story, and how's the support been from his side?
Oh no, he's been absolutely amazing. So he knew what had happened before we had gotten married. I had shared obviously with him. We started our relationship very honestly. I didn't want him to get married and then find out afterwards.
Yeah.
So they've been, my husband and my kids have been amazing. We've also, just done it through the therapist because you didn't know all the comments that were going to come after the release of the book. So it was more sort of speaking about what if, and how to just hold each other as a family, because our lives are out there now. I speak quite quite explicitly about
Yes.
everything. But yeah, we're holding each other. There are no regrets, absolutely no regrets.
Fantastic. Yeah, it's a very brave thing that you've done, and
Yeah,
I hope that your bravery is going to give other women the the gumption they need, and
uh,
the bravery to stand up and tell their story and just be heard. Because I think you also said that the more you talk about it, the more the healing
yeah,
happens.
no, totally, absolutely, and I believe that. I mean, I've been to quite a few speaking engagements, and they say, "Oh, but where's your notes?" And I said, "No, I don't use notes. It's this is my life. I speak as
Yeah.
it comes, and
Mm.
it does become easier. Sometimes there are curveball questions, and I'm like, oh, I don't know to answer those. But we learn as we go along. It's the
Mm.
first time I'm doing this, so I'm just yeah, no, it's
Yeah.
part of the journey.
Okay. And where to from here for you?
So I'd like to get into the schools. I'd love to do so much more public speaking and motivational
Fantastic.
speaking. I'd love to
Nice.
specifically get into the schools, but also into the businesses, because oftentimes with corporates, I find that it's just work and it's hardcore work, and sometimes there are people suffering. But everyone is so hell bent on you have to reach target and you have to finish this and
You've
that, and
got an image to maintain.
yeah, and I feel that people hide pretty well there, and so I'd like to go into just businesses and just actually just chat, bring
Mm.
a human side into it really. So
You take a
yeah,
lot of tissues along.
sure, yes, true.
Because
So yeah, so I'd like to tour with the book. I've got huge plans like that. That
oh, that's
I'd
so
like to continue.
exciting.
Yeah, I'd like to
Okay,
continue sharing.
we're certainly going to be watching your space, and I'll put the links for the book purchasing. I'll put it in the comments below, and your email address. So should anybody want to contact you, they can do that.
Yeah. Thank you so much for the interview. Thank you for allowing me your platform to speak. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Lynn. Thank you so much. We really appreciate that you took the time out, your busy schedule, and just for what you're doing. You are opening up wounds, but you know what they say, it's got to get a lot of worse before it gets better. And it's painful
Yeah.
when you get in there and get all the gunk out, but at least that is the only time when the healing can actually begin.
Yeah, no, but healing is possible. That's the good thing.
Absolutely. That's the story of hope that you are sharing. And I think